see quite a few new faces here. My name is Lisa, I'm the Director of Finvest and have been very graciously invited to do these sessions by Caden. Has anyone heard of Caden or seen Caden or been to a Caden showroom before? Can I just get a show of hands? Absolutely no one? Really? No one's heard of Caden before? 1, 2. Anyone else? No nods? Yes, 3? Okay, cool. We're not selling anything. Today's really just the whole idea of what we do this series about is just to help people get a little glimpse of what happens in the property market behind the scenes and usually behind the showrooms and what happens from people like myself's perspective, which I fall into. I'm a licensed real estate agent. I've been working in real estate and in finance for over 15 years. And I started as a second generation. My father, being Sri Lankan, came here and had his accountant's degree and a small business and was doing accounting. And next to that, he started doing finance broking. And my first job when I was 18 years old was doing promo work at a nightclub, doing drinks and stuff like that. And he didn't know that at the time. When he found out, I very quickly got a job working at his business to give him a hand. So I did realise at the time that he was ushering me out of this wonderful nightclub exotic environment and putting me into a pretty stiff set of work, dealing with mortgages since 19 years old. Certainly not the most glamorous or exciting pieces of work to have been doing. But it certainly has derived a lot of experience where I've wholly and solely specialised in the Melbourne market and been watching the Melbourne market now for over 25 years, going from that far back. I guess the thing that we want to focus on today in terms of behind the scenes is have a panel group of around 10 people, 10 experts that are coming representing some of the largest pieces of what is required for someone who is using property for investment. Can I get a show of hands of how many people in here are using property for investment? Who has an investment property in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so nearly 2/3 of the room. Yeah? Hey, Danny. Good to know. So what I might do very quickly is introduce everyone. The format of today is supposed to, we keep these numbers very limited. So the idea is that we are giving some live commentary on some of the things that are live, that are happening within the marketplace, some of the pieces of information that is really changing the landscape of what's happening, especially the pre and post June 30 topic, which is quite large post-budget recently. We have Bank of Melbourne, so Louis from Bank of Melbourne here. He's not just a mobile banker. Louis has been within the bank for how many years, Louis?
Finance for about 17 years.
17 years. And your role is to be working as a senior throughout a few of the branches covering Melbourne. And you have what's known as a DLA. Does anyone know what a DLA stands for? Anyone? Delegated Lending Authority, yes, thank you. So a DLA means that you can actually go and, like the olden days, I'll call them olden days, go and see someone and have someone sign and approve a loan for you up to a certain amount. And your dollar value is 2 million, yeah? Yeah. So come and join me, you can sit really close to me being that.
The money man, is that right?
Money man. I'll ask Danielle to please come and join us. I know it's going to get quite squishy up here. Yeah? Danielle works as a senior, as a channel manager for Caden. Your portfolio of how many properties that you guys have at the moment that are up on the market?
A couple of hundred.
But the actual properties, the locations, so you've got maybe 5 sites right now?
Oh yeah, we've got 7 going.
7 going,
yeah,
7
between
sites.
settling and sort of acquisition. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about, and maybe we'll have a few people asking you some questions about those, the ones that are sort of coming into settlement versus the ones that have had perhaps a few changes coming through on guidelines, etc., and maybe some of the benefits of what you guys are seeing pre and post for, you know, this June 30 deadline and what's going on. Adam, I want to just quickly introduce Adam. It's the first time that Adam's coming and sitting with us here this evening. Thank you for joining us. You're working with gyms in the role of a building inspector. So if anyone's completed or built, usually they would normally just let that handover happen, and there's someone that might guide the client who's bought the property through an access and an open for inspection, where they might get a form to fill out. The next layer of protection, or the way that Adam describes what he does, is that if you were to go and buy a car, you normally do it and get an RACV check, an independent check done on that car, and that's only to the value usually of second-hand cars are somewhere up to 20,000 or 30,000. A lot of people will go into the market and buy a property and not do that same checkpoint and that same level of due diligence, which only costs a few $100s, but actually make sure that you're protected and that you're covered and that your warranty of what you've actually signed and contracted is actually what you've received. There's a lot of what is not seen in works.
Yes.
You talked to me last week about a situation where there was some tile issues that were found.
Yeah, I like to get into all those spots that most people don't. So that's in subfloors and roof cavities, and quite often that's where you can find, say, dampness or water problems. Even with new builds, you know, we see a lot of trades that sometimes are under pressure for time to deliver and haven't quite finished things off. And if those issues aren't found quickly, it can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah. So not that we want to sort of create a doom and gloom, but it's always really interesting to hear some of these transitions of the before and afters of getting some of these inspection works done. So really, really great to have you, and I really enjoyed spending some time with you a few weeks ago and hearing some of them myself, so I'm sure that they'll be interesting to a few people here. And another newbie, so Callum, you come from B&T.
That's right.
Who's heard of B&T? Yeah, so a few people are aware of B&T. For those of you that do not know who B&T are, they're a quantity surveyor. Does anyone know what a quantity surveyor is typically used for in terms of investment and what they provide? That's so quiet. That's so quiet, I'll bring Amanda up because she's never quiet, so that'll bring things up. So a quantity surveyor creates the depreciation schedule. Another really big topic at the moment, and as we swing from different parts of the market where investment or investors are being a lot less favoured, and we're swinging into a new cycle where there is a new hot client. The new hot client is the first homeowner, and the first homeowner's great. So depreciation schedules are a tool that an accountant, who Ivana I'll introduce in a minute, an accountant needs the depreciation schedule, which is fitted by the quantity surveyor. So when the property settles, the quantity surveyor goes out there, they will do an assessment based on the grade and quality of the internal fixed fittings, paint, carpet, taps, joinery, everything that's on the inside of that property, and they will create a schedule. So that schedule then pertains to what we can actually use for the deductibility for the next 40 years. You do it once, and it's a set and forget piece of document, which is, I don't know, a few $100. Again, it's under $800. We get it substantially cheaper than that through us.
It's worth mentioning it's a 5% discount for Finvest clients as well, so $735.
So we'll cover it.
Can I just mention, it actually is the only document that the ATO will use, will allow us to use for the depreciation schedule, because they're actually qualified.
It's a tax
and if anything happens, it goes back on them.
It does.
So they're actually, they're not just people that just walk in, they know the lifespan of every product, and they're able to put these. They're actually quite in-depth reports. They're not just,
Absolutely. And accountants are our biggest referrers because they know we're specialists in it. So that's why they know to engage a specialist, absolutely.
Definitely. And we've got Caleb on the end. We're going to do a very short 5 minutes with Caleb at the end of the session. Caleb is new and someone that hasn't done anything with Finvest or Finvestor clients in the past, but he is someone of a life coach and does work with people in terms of mindset. So for those that are interested, we're going to just do something a little bit different to what we would normally do at the end of the session, and just hear something a little bit more of the aspirational side of perhaps I think your topic today was going to be, what was it, sorry? What did you decide on?
Core needs.
Core needs.
So what your top drivers are, why you do what you do behind the scenes, and how that plays out in your finance.
Great. Interesting. So Callum, thank you. I might get you to sub off so I can do a technical session and then we can bring you like a cherry on the top at the end. And thank you very much, Ivana. If you're looking too comfortable, come over and join us on the couch. So a year ago, Ivana and I started doing these sessions, and we've been running them concurrently every month. And like clockwork, what we do every month is we come and we have a panel of people that join us. We have a lot of clients that are beginner, intermediate and advanced, somewhere through their journey with us, that at least 2 of them join to share their story. Many people have sat in here like you have for the first time somewhere during that course of 12 months. And so I wanted to also allow them to come and share what it was like for them and what's happened to them in real time, because I think as much as technical is important and all of these brilliant people from beautiful parts of the industry are very, very relevant, there's something very, very real about having a real-time case of someone that's going through and walking the walk and talking the talk. I personally go through and invest and buy 3 properties a year, and I have been buying properties. My first property transaction was when I was 21. So I've got my own experience, but you kind of discredit that and look at that as, oh, you're a pro, and I agree with you. I think it's really important to see what happens as a result of people going through the process and accessing some of these professionals. So today really is more about me providing you access to who I go and lean to when I'm seeking advice about certain things that are happening within the marketplace. I've learned a lot from Louis. We've been doing a lot of joint sessions, especially over the last 3 months. Victoria does. Does anyone know that?
Yep.
And does anyone know, Ivana, is that a deduction if you do decide to change your mind after you've bought a property and lived in it? Can you take us through what happens there? If someone's bought a property, they've moved into the property, they've claimed it as their personal place of residence, but then they've decided that they want to use it for investment and move on. Yeah. Because that's what I think is going to happen.
There is a loophole in the tax system, and that is if you purchase the property with the intention to live in it, and you claim that property as your principal place of residence, there is no policy at the moment or rule that the ATO says you've got to live in it for a day, a week, a month, as long as all the rate notices, all the electricity bills, all the water rates, everything go to that property and you can claim it as your principal place of residence. Look, I wouldn't say stay 2 weeks and leave, but if you can do it for, right, this is my principal place of residence, and you decide to rent it after 3 months, and you genuinely say, look, I lived in it, you then, because you claim it as your principal place of residence, you are allowed to walk out, go rent somewhere else, or go and live home with mummy and daddy, and you can rent that for up to 6 years and then sell it, and there's no capital gain implications. So that is a loophole in the tax system, which eventually they will close, like they close everything else. But it is.
So to move a step back, Ivana, you've been an accountant for around, 25 years in practice?
Yeah, 25.
And you guys are based over in Melbourne, yourself and your partner, Dom, who's doing another property event as we speak. Yeah. We've got a lot of joint clients. Some of my clients range from having and holding over 10 properties, which we've been reviewing on, and they've retained those properties with working with me over the last 4 years. My whole goal with when I take on a client is to really try and understand what are their strengths and their weaknesses, what's held them back in the past, and what is a safe version of them being able to do something that's not threatening or sort of bumbling their way through as they're building up their portfolios. At the end of the session, I'm going to put up we've got 2 or 3 case studies which we're going to just show you guys. They take 2 minutes each. If you can just press play, it's really easy. So we'll go through a few of those. We're all going to be one of them. I've got a little video made of you.
That'd be a good camera angle.
No, it's very small.
Can I just also, I wanted to make a mention of Louis, what he said, it was all doom and gloom. If you actually look at it, it's not doom and gloom, because the government hasn't figured out that they are making it hard to invest. So if they make it hard to invest, everybody, a lot of people rent. Where are these people going to rent? The rent's going to go up because there's not enough people buying investment properties. It's all about supply and demand. So the more the government make it harder, and Lise knows there is a percentage of people that rent in this country, there's going to be, it's just going to put pressure on people that want to buy investment properties, meaning there will be less coming onto the market, less people like us. But it's actually good because we're educated in what Lisa's teaching us, and then we will actually get more rent because not everybody's want to do it because they're all scared. Oh, can't get the rental, can't get the bank, can't get this, can't get that. Which what happens? It rises, increases the price of what we purchase as an investment property. Do you know, they're building a rod for their own back.
Well, I agree. And the interesting thing, I think, is on the basic metric, the average house price in Melbourne is over $560,000 to $580,000. And if we're all looking at this and saying we have to have 20% to enter the market and use that for investment, who's good at quick maths?
Yeah, go ahead.
Come on.
580.
Yeah, no, or even just 500. Let's just keep it simple.
$100,000.
Yeah, so 100,000 and 20%. So basically we're telling people $100,000 to get in. People absolutely are already thinking about how do I go around the bridge or under it or whatever and finding these alternatives. And the alternatives really is that people will rent-vest. People that will be really appetising to the market are going to be first home buyers, using that first home grant, accessing that market for the first 12 months, sucking it up and just living somewhere and getting in because they're going to at least then capitalise on, $600,000 is the stamp duty, it's $30,000 and $60 is the stamp duty equivalent to buying something for $600,000. That's far more than what you would get in rent. Yeah, so a rental return based on that, 4.5% based on 600 is going to give you around $22,000 to $24,000. Yeah. So if you're getting a whole year's worth of rent for free just for entering the market and not paying rent, we are going to see a swarm of new activity hitting the market within this bracket. A swarm. What's going to happen is people are going to learn as families how to chip in. Okay, so if they've got a kid, they've got equity, they're going to be the ones saying, guess what, congratulations, you're 21, here's a $25,000 deposit. Because that $25,000 is matched over 100% if they think about the fact that I would otherwise be incurring stamp duty. My child's not going to incur stamp duty. They can buy it. I'll do a deal with them. We'll put it in their name. Of course people are thinking like this, yeah? Of course they are. It's a fantastic gift to be able to give someone an opportunity of getting in the market. And I see it all the time. It's great.
So many ways.
It's great. But again, when you get that property, how educated are you with what you are using it for?
That's right.
There is only 6% of Australians that buy and can hold a property for investment, and that is the actual legitimate usage of that property. 6% of Australians. Think about the deductions. There's some great value around why people are getting benefit and why they're doing this. But there is a whole host of barrier here. Some of it mindset, some of it education, some of it access to... Does anyone know how long it takes on average for someone to pay off their house? Does anyone pay off their house? 30 years. That's the long term. Good guess it is. Any of you guys, do you know how long it takes on average for someone to pay off a house?
30 years, 17 to 23.
Yeah, so typically people, when they get cheap money, because mortgage money is the cheapest, does anyone know, like, credit card rates are somewhere between 15 and 30? Then you've got personal loans, which are somewhere between 8 or 9 honeymoon, and then jump up to 15 or 20. Then you've got car finance. So home loan money, when people get into that market, why mortgage brokers still exist in my reality or in my existence is that they basically help people recapitalise and to reconsolidate their debt. Because once they get a mortgage, then all of a sudden they need to go to Harvey Norman and get the interest-free period for 5 years on the biggest TV. You need to. And then they need to go on the big holiday next year. And then they need to upgrade the car the following year. You're not going to go out and get personal loans for all these things. Once you've got a mortgage, you've got cheap money. So people keep tapping into that space. And that's what happens in terms of the fact that people... I had a client 2 weeks ago that bought a property in Toorak, and she bought it 10 years ago. And she came and she did a session with us. We do these alternative property things, which is helpful as well. So we do, you know, some movement-based things, and it's another different... It's a different campaign altogether. But she came to one of those. She came and saw me afterwards. She came and saw me in my office, and she was like, Lisa, I'm inheriting $100,000 from my mum, and I'm going to use that. I want to know how I can enter the property market, how I can use it to invest. I bought this property in Toorak, and it was a one-bedroom apartment. It was all she could afford at the time. Blonde brick. And in 10 years, it's now worth around $330,000. She's bought it for over $200,000. So it's taken her 10 years to get that appreciation.
So how much did it go up?
Who would agree that Toorak's a great area?
I love it.
Beautiful area. Didn't choose right though, did she? Right? And then the other thing was, if she'd known deductibility was available back then for nicking and gearing, wasn't it? So had she chosen something new, then she would have had over $10,000 worth of depreciation. That mortgage wouldn't exist anymore.
No, that's right.
Wouldn't exist anymore. There's a term out there called a rent investor, yeah? So that's the concept of someone utilising their bank lending against getting a tenant and getting a property and having someone pay down that loan and renting by choice. Because it's so unaffordable, and there is a difference between the yield once you get over a certain price of what a property is worth. You know, if you're going to be in St Vincent's Place in St Kilda, which is $100,000 that you've got, and get 4.5% rents if you're renting and getting some properties out in different areas. So rent vesting is the concept of really maximising, looking at yield and maximising your lending position so that you can claim not just the rental income, but you're able to claim depreciation. And that's where, you know, the schedules and what's provided by understanding the quality of, you know, new versus old, what you can do within that time is really important.
Sometimes also when you're going into, you know, creating a portfolio for yourself, you don't, there's so many, we are not born to know everything. And that's what's the good thing. With Lisa, Lisa is a specialist, and every person has a different case, has a different money trail, has a different income earning capacity, different vehicles drive the way they derive their income. There's a lot of different ways, but Lisa offers a lot of services that will help you achieve creating wealth. And that is, you know, you've got your depreciation specialist, you've got your accountants, you've got your mortgage brokers. You walk into a bank and ask for a loan and they look at you half stupid. So
most of them, not this one.
Oh no, he's gorgeous. But no, because you surround yourself with the right people. But what I'm saying is, she has the right team, and we all work together so that you can create property like we've created property. And I've learned, I don't know everything, I've learned from you as well. Yeah. How many times have I asked you questions, or, you know, I've asked Lisa, and I thought I was the bee's knees and knew everything, and I'd tell Lisa, no, this is the best property. She said, no, Ivana, because it's 100,000 more and you could do this, and I went, okay, shut up. So sometimes Lisa has the experience in things that, look, Toorak, I'm like, I'd buy Toorak, but there you go, she just proved us wrong. So sometimes it's not, you know, what we think, it's experience, and also history shows.
History does show, and we've had things go wrong. So can you tell us some of the recent bits that have happened in your existence, which is a pretty interesting one?
Well, yeah, we always find things that go wrong, but it's interesting listening to the discussion where there's a lot of involvement, a lot of risk that goes on. But yet what I actually deal with is what you can see and touch. Yeah. And I guess that's where the emotion comes into it. So it's important that you make sure that what you're buying is worth, what you've spent. It's also important to understand if you are looking for investment and you want to do any sort of improvements to it, capital growth, what the potential is to look at a property, because a lot of times people will go in and either put some work in to try and flip the property or try and get some more value in it to redraw. So what we try and do is give you a sort of snapshot of where the property's at, and first of all make sure that it's safe, hasn't got any major defects. If it's been finished, by these guys with the concierge when they hand it over to what the contract has stated, and I guess it just allows you to have a whole peace of mind for really what's quite a simple part of the process is the actual rooms that you buy.
So tell us some of the bits that have gone wrong with some of the clients that you've done handovers for recently.
Yeah, I had a handover out at Tarnee about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Nice little Indian guy, and he brought us in for a practical completion handover. And as we were going through, looking at the plans, and there was the sort of standard stuff with a bit of sort of incomplete workmanship and a few little dents and scratches. But as we got into the ensuite, we realised that the shower niche had not been installed. Now, during construction, that was probably a couple $100 job. We were looking at a fully finished bathroom with shower screens, tiles, waterproofing, the whole lot. So he said to me, what should I do? And I said, well look, really the shower niche, the functionality of that is to put your shampoo on, okay? You need to get into your head whether you need that to be recessed or you're happy with a shelf. And he said, well, I'll probably I'll deal with the shelf. I said, good. I said, well, the reality is the builder has supplied a contract to install that mesh. So he has to do that no matter what. But the reality is, if he does do that, it's going to delay the handover period for the house, and so it's also...
In practical work, so first, does everyone know what a niche is?
It's a recess, kind of.
Yeah, it's like a little shelf to put the
shampoo
and
so
stuff in.
It's not a big item.
Yeah.
But it would have involved probably 5 or 6 trades, tiles.
And how many days working would that have taken?
Well, that's the thing, is because the trades, when they're there on a new build, are there. Now you've got to bring them back, and you've got to coordinate someone to reframe it, replaster it, re-waterproof it, retile it, put the shower screen in. At my estimate, and we don't give estimates of cost because it's kind of a conflict, it was probably anywhere from about $3,500 to $4,000 to rectify it. So I said to Raj, this is this scenario. I said, if I was you, I'd go back and have a discussion with the builder because he needs to supply this finished product. And to the builder's credit, he came back and said, you're exactly right. I'm aware of the scenario that Adam's just painted. How about we come back and we will put you a concrete driveway at no charge. So we were able to...
How much would that cost?
Well, it was actually a win-win because it was probably concrete, $75 a square metre or probably $80 a square metre. So it was probably similar value in the end works, but the builder could get it cheaper because it's through his contractor, and it would have been more...
And I could do that because the opportunity cost at an auction, if you miss out and you go, I'll hang back, I'll wait, next one. It costs you $5,000 to $10,000 per week, depending on the property that you're looking at. So if you miss out this property and you go to the auction the following week, guaranteed you will not buy something as low as what you did the previous week. Now, it's not for every suburb, not for every property type, but the areas that you guys are looking at are not going to slow down, I will promise you. Yeah, the areas that you guys are looking at investing in is always going to do this. Because obviously you guys don't do properties in areas that is doing this. Yeah?
So whilst we're on that topic, I'm sure the word of supply, especially with apartments and because we're sitting in Caden, might be interesting just to cover off what's happened with you guys over the last 12 months and what's happening within the next, I think, 48 months, because you've got settlements happening for the next 48 plus months, right?
Yeah, it just sort of is going to start going back to back. I suppose it comes down to it's location. That's what property is about, 100%. And where we look at, I work for a developer who actually cares about his clients and his purchases, and not just what the end figure that he's going to get. Even though there is an end figure, he's going to reinvest that so that other people get that opportunity to purchase their first property or to get their next stepping stone in their investment portfolio. So the locations that we choose, we've done our numbers and our sums and our forecasting to know that there is growth there because of employment or because of infrastructure or because of what's already there, what the price is doing, and all these different other things. Whereas there are plenty of suburbs we're in Melbourne where they've got a great big cross next to them and say, well, we wouldn't touch it. We wouldn't touch it with a 6-foot pole. So
can we get specific here? So I'm really interested in knowing those 5 locations. You've got 5 sites.
Yeah,
is relevant to you?
So we have one in Ivanhoe, we have one in Preston, we have one in Moody Ponds, we have one in Flemington, and we just finished one 12 months ago in Brunswick. So those areas that particular council has got rules on like density and how much can actually be built in that particular area. So if I look at Moody Ponds, for example, 90% of that suburb you can't just sort of knock down and go out and up. There's a lot of heritage in that area, so there's a lot of beautiful homes, so you can't just knock them down. There's only a really small section where you can build apartments on. So over time, when there's not going to be enough supply, because you can only build on so much in that suburb, that's $1 million suburb for houses, there's going to be more demand because it's only 6 kilometres from the CBD as well. That is really the key thing, is that what is it doing in now? What can it do to make sure that supply and demand continues to increase? And that's really the key things that we look at. Don't get me wrong, South Yarra is a really great suburb for a few different reasons, but I would never put my money there from an investment perspective because it's pretty much the opposite. You can build as many apartments as you possibly want.
You know what? That's a fantastic example. The one thing I like about when I'm reviewing, and I've got around 8,000 listings at the moment, 8,000, so there are over 30 roughly, north, south,